Hello, welcome to 3Spoonies. We are your hosts, Claire, Joe, and Karen. This episode is number 5, and we are discussing knowing your limits. Come and join us as we dive in.
Snoap introduces a groundbreaking approach to personal care with its solid soap and shampoo dispenser. This innovative device accommodates 2 bars, transforming them into a delicate powder for ultimate efficiency. These bars are capable of providing over 2,000 hand washes, 333 showers, or 666 hair washes. Not only are they cruelty-free, with the majority being vegan, but they're also completely single-use plastic-free. Snoap stands out not only as a champion for your skin and hair, but also a friend to both the environment and your budget. And there's a special treat for listeners today. The generous Lady Snoap has provided us with an exclusive discount code. Spoonies love Snoap, that's SNOAP, which grants you an additional 15% off your purchase. How wonderful is that? Head on over to snoap.com to start shopping now and take advantage of this fantastic offer. Full details in the show notes.
I'm Claire from Sparkle's Gift Boutique.
And I'm Joe from Bright Cat Business Solutions.
And I'm Karen from Pony Pony Pony.
And together we are 3Spoonies navigating our way through life and business with not enough spoons. So today is knowing your limits. Do we know our limits?
We know of our limits. We're not going to keep to them.
We've heard rumours.
These limits, what are they?
Yeah, 20% of our messages to each other. Have a break. Don't do that. Have a rest.
I still have my little card that you sent me that when I open it, it just says, like, there's a really nice message and it's like, go and rest. It just has to be there. Like, how do you guys work with your knowing your limits? Do you listen to yourself? Yeah, that's how I am. Your face said it all, Joe.
In theory, I know my limits. I know how to set out my time so I can keep to those limits. I'm just really bad at actually listening. Actually, the worst bit I find is when those limits change. As our illnesses progress, things change. And all of a sudden, something I could do a year ago, if I'm still planning on sort of that time scale, it might not be my limits anymore. It might be a shorter fuse, as it were. That really gets me. If it's a limit I'm just ignoring, that's on me. But if it's something that's changed, that's frustrating.
Yeah, I think my biggest one is I still struggle with things that I could do before fine. So, for example, I wanted to have like a deep clean in the house. I could like change a room around in a day.
Yeah.
Now it would probably take about 2 weeks. Because it's like I would try and I think at the time I'm like, oh, it's a great idea. About an hour later, I'm like, what was I thinking? Everything hurts. Put me in a corner. Don't speak to me again. I still struggle with the fact that I can't do things that I could do. And it's even though I'm like what 7, 8 years on, I still haven't got past that. But I used to be able to do this. Or you have a day when you're not in too much pain, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna get this done, and then you're like, oh shit, I've overdone it.
Yeah, that is always the problem. Especially if you're having a good day, and you're no, I can keep going, and no, you can't. Absolutely can't. And somewhere in the back of the head, you can't. But you think because you feel okay now that you can. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's also if there's things you really wanted to get done and you couldn't. It's like, oh, I don't feel dreadful now. Let's catch up on all the things I've not been able to do for the past however many weeks. And I don't think that works for anyone at the best of times.
No, absolutely not. The one time it really upset me was during one of the lockdowns. So I was still learning my new limits, and I decided that I was going to dig out a bed in the garden. And I got halfway down, like tearing out turf and grass, and all of a sudden my arms just said no. And the fatigue hit me like a brick, and that really upset me because I knew a year, maybe 2 years prior, I would have been able to do that. It was all that frustration just kind of hitting me at once.
I think as well, it's like you do something like that, and it's like you're like, oh, I'm enjoying doing this, and it's you're kind of you also take that pride in what you're doing because like, oh look, I can do it,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden it's like, oh no, I lied to you, you can't. Your body's
Yeah,
like,
it
of
feels
course you
like
could.
it's almost a bit of a betrayal, isn't it? When it's like, why won't you let me do this? Or, sometimes, like you said, it's the physical exhaustion and you just can't. It's like, I went to the cinema the other day and like the bus stop's right outside the cinema. It's not that big of a drama. But I got halfway up the escalator and I'm like, can I move my feet when I get to the top? And it's like, oh, it's a bit sloped. Will it kind of just push me over the edge? Because I'm not sure I can move. And I nearly fell asleep at the end of the film. And it wasn't because it was boring, but it was just like, oh, I'm so tired out from going out my house and washing my hair and putting clothes on. And it's like, oh, it's just too much and I can't deal.
Sometimes those daily tasks can just really take it out of you. I remember Ricky used to moan at me all the time because we'd get ready to go out, we'd go cinema, we'd go for dinner, and then we'd go cinema. And guaranteed, I'd be so drained, I'd fall asleep in the film. Even if it was like we went to see John Wick 2, which
Yeah.
you know, proper full-on action film. There's me just sleeping away in the middle of it. It's just like, how? How do I do this? And it's like, I know how I do it. It's because I'm so exhausted.
Yeah.
But he's just like, well, what's wrong with you? Why? I'm just like, it's my pain.
I would recommend though, if washing your hair is something that wipes you out, dreadlocks.
Yeah.
Because
Like,
I no longer have to brush my hair. If it's in my face, I just put it up and I wash it maybe once a month. It's been longer when I've not been feeling up to it. And
mm,
it's all good.
I mean, as my hair grows back, I'm embracing the curly afro look. And it's really weird because as a kid, I always wanted my hair to be straight. But I think because I grew up in a very white area, I wanted to fit in and there was
mm.
all of that. And now it's like I'm a bit more accepting of myself. And it's just like, no, I'm letting it grow. I'm letting it be curly. I'm being free with it. So I've noticed as it grows, it's like longer to wash my hair, which I'm like, oh, this is actually starting to make my arms hurt in the shower. But not having to maintain, when I think back on all the times I used to straighten it and maintain it,
Mm.
the thought of doing it again just, oh, I'm like, no, I can't do this.
Yeah, I think it's sometimes it's also doing something. If you've not got the energy to do everything you want to, if you do something to make yourself feel better, it's like you can get these self-care packs when there's like a face mask in it and like a single tea bag or some stickers or something. It's like what we need is some wet wipes, some dry shampoo. You know what I mean? Those things that we can freshen up, feel a bit more human if you've genuinely not got the energy to do all the stuff you need to do.
I mean, on the days when a shower is hard, because getting out of bed is hard, I do have a seat in the shower. And we're lucky enough to have a wet room anyway. But I've got a seat, and just sitting under hot water is so nice. Even if
Mm,
I'm cleaning myself, because I'm not going anywhere, it's just that will make me feel better.
Makes you feel a bit more refreshed and human and
Yeah,
yeah,
without the like using the spoons to actually clean yourself, it's like compromises.
yeah, absolutely. That, and as you said, it just helps perk yourself up. And
Spoons have
sometimes you
all
can just feel really dreary if you've been sat in your jammies all day and
just have a shower, put on fresh jammies.
yeah,
mm.
That's a good life.
it
I'm
is.
I'm one of those like I like to have a shower, but I can't get dressed straight away. I have to kind of dry and then just let the rest of me dry in air. And I can just sit on the bed sometimes and I'm like, I've had a nap.
Yeah, I've done that before.
Mm.
Many, even before I was ill. Um, I get warm and comfy there for all I snooze.
The worst one's a bath. I can just do a really hot bath and I just lay back and I'm just like, oh God, I'm falling asleep. Oh. So like there are limits in our personal life and knowing we know what we kind of know what our limits are and aren't, and we never listen to them.
Don't be like
Like
us.
Yeah,
yeah,
do as we say, not as we do.
yeah. We give out great advice. We're just terrible at taking our own advice. But yeah, even with business, I always try and be like, I know what my limits are on what hours I can work, what I'm physically capable of doing. I know that some days I need to not work so much. I don't always listen to myself. I will
Yeah,
carry on. I will power through. I will hurt a lot. Are you two the same?
Absolutely.
Yes, I'm not alone.
You're not alone, and I think most people will probably agree with you. If I'm sort of in the middle of something and I want to finish it, often it will not matter how much pain I'm in, how tired I am, I will power through and I will regret it later. Or I'll have a lot to do and I'll go, oh no, I can do that much in a day. I can't. I know I can't. I know it's going to put me behind and that's going to annoy me. But then I'll get towards the end of the week when I've got not as much in. And it's like, oh no, I could have just put it here.
Yeah.
But I like to be ahead of myself. I like to get going. So I tend to do too much, especially at the start of the week, when in theory I'm refreshed, depending on how my weekend went and how much pain I was in.
Yeah, it's. Oh, I think sometimes I'm like you say, you start everything at the start of the week, and you're just like, end of the week, you're like, oh, I've got space. But it's that you want to be. I think I'm like, I want to be ahead of myself because I don't want people to be waiting for things that they've ordered.
Mm.
Also, in case I have a bad day or something like that. But I think it's like you're trying to prepare and be like, yep, I'm doing it for the right reasons. But I also find I can get an order come in, and even though it's like 7 to 10 days turnaround, I'm just like, the next day I'm just like, I need to get that started now. And it's like in my head, it's like, do it now. I'm not giving myself that chance to have a bit of a thing.
Do you ever feel like the business world just isn't made for your unique brain? You're not alone. Millions of neurodivergent entrepreneurs struggle to find the connections and support they need to thrive. That's where Neuro Network comes in. By building a community of neurodivergent business owners built on unmasked connections, fostering genuine collaboration, you can forget false networking and awkward small talk. Embrace your authentic self because great minds don't think alike, and that's what makes them great. Join exciting events, workshops, and online forums. Find your tribe, share your ideas, and take your business to the next level. Find us on Instagram at neuro_networking and unleash your full potential. Pet dog training is even more accessible with Joe's online dog training school, which runs alongside in-person classes and workshops, supporting families with dogs from puppy to teenager through to adult and senior dogs. There is a range of online courses to help you spend more time with your dog while learning how to understand them more. Specialising in fitness and conditioning, as well as super senior dog training for mind and mobility, you have access to written text, video tutorials, asking questions, and even submitting videos for feedback. You also have lifetime access and can log in at any time, as often as you like. The most popular course is our Puppies Life Skill Masterclass, and you can enrol straight away. No worries about travel or transport, adverse weather, or on days when you just aren't up to taking your dog out for training, as everything is available where you are, home, holiday, wherever else. Check out Joe's online dog training school at dogtrainingessex-suffolk.co.uk.
One of the things I find is with trying to put too much in the beginning of the week, am I then making myself worse for the end of the week? Could I have
Yes.
spaced it out better? Yes. Could I have spaced it out better and not broken myself for the week? And I often find weekends I sleep a lot and I tend to be in pain a lot because I know I've overdone it.
Mm.
Whereas if I'd have paced myself better throughout the week, I might not be.
Yeah, I think that's true. Well, I've got my app, which I find really helpful. It's called Visible. It's for people with ME or long COVID, and it measures things like your heart rate, your symptoms, and then it gives you a color coding to tell you how easy you should take it. So, like, red is like, go back to bed, don't breathe too hard, you'll overdo it. And sort of orange is like, cancel things if you can, take it nice and easy. And it's sort of like that. So you can see the color and go, oh, okay, my body is actually telling me this. And sometimes you don't realize, because it's like you said earlier, sometimes it's 2 days later it catches up with you. So I found it really helpful to go, oh, okay, I'm more worn out than I thought I was. Maybe I won't add in that extra meeting that I was about to add in, or, things like that.
I won't get up early and get some work done.
Is that so where that measures like your levels? Is there like a level between green and orange so that like because we're never going to be fully green is go.
Well, it actually goes up to blue, but I've only ever had that once.
Oh, what's blue?
Blue is like, everything's lovely. It
Um,
doesn't actually say that, but green is you've probably got more energy today, but still pace yourself. And blue is looks like you have been pacing yourself, you're doing well. It doesn't actually say try not to ruin it, you silly sausage, but that's always the impression I get.
Maybe things like that need to be kind of clearer with us, so we kind of listen to our limits and we have them visually.
yeah,
Not don't be so nice about it. Just tell us as it is.
it's not like your body doesn't tell you. We're just really good at going, no, it's fine.
Yeah, I know I'm really good at just blocking it out,
I can
and
to a point.
it's like until it gets really bad, and then I'm just like, no, no, I have to stop. But I can just be like, if I just get this bit done, I can power through it.
It's also what you've normalized as well, that probably 10, 15 years ago, sort of the conditions that you work in every day would be enough to absolutely stop you, but you kind of get used to that. It's like, I remember I was marking someone's coursework and I had such bad migraine that I could only see like an area sort of about 50p piece worth. So I was had to hold up the paper and sort of move it back and forth. So that tiny bit I could see through, I could read what their coursework was. And my colleague's like, what are you doing? Why don't you go home? I'm like, I can still read as long as there's not any long words.
Well, there's no spelling mistakes. I'm fine. Oh.
Yeah,
Um,
I can see that. But yeah, many years ago, most days I would have gone back to bed. But you get used to it. And then my worst point is I'm in so much pain, I'm non-verbal. And usually just before that, when I start stuttering and can't find words, and I hate that. I hate that so much because I hate not being able to communicate.
so you're trying to get the words out, but they're not coming out properly, and you just like then you get frustrated at yourself because it's like, why can't I get these words out? And then you're like,
Yeah.
that'll be why, because
Yeah,
I'm
it's
about to go into full shutdown mode.
yeah, it's time to shut down, go to bed, and just sort of lay there for until you feel better.
Yeah, that's the point where it's not optional anymore.
No,
I had an Ofsted inspection once and I had this horrendous migraine. I kept saying the wrong words, and all the students are just looking at me completely bewildered. And we're talking about childcare or something. I talked about the safety things you have to do for the goats. And they're like, you just said goats. And I'm like, no, I didn't. I was like, oh, I probably didn't I? It's like,
like
this is not my finest moment.
like the words make sense in your head, but they're not coming out your mouth correctly.
Yeah, like I heard myself say children, but
Oh,
it
the
came
word
out as
goats came out.
goats. I
Yeah,
mean, maybe I was thinking kids. I don't know, but it doesn't make sense. I think that's the sign. It's like, right, it's not happening. Time for a snooze, regroup, come back later. And also sometimes it can be boundaries as well. You know, like there's people who just use up your energy.
yeah. A
Yes.
couple of clients like that.
Yeah,
We'll
I
not name any names, but
No, we're not naming names.
but I think that comes into like knowing your limits as well. Other people's emotional baggage.
Yeah,
mm,
Probably the wrong way to put it, but like because that, and especially when you deal with chronic pain, I found if I was in a really high stress situation, it's like you can more stressed you get, the more you feel the pain coming on, and you can
mm.
feel it. And so when other people are putting those emotions on you, you pick up on all that as well. So it's kind of having people around you that just don't drain all your energy or make you feel more tired.
Mm. And also being free to say, look, I need a break. It's like when I used to work in children's homes, I used to be on the waking night shift and I'd be so bored because I'd not have talked to anyone for hours, and like I'd have cleaned all the kids' shoes and done anything to fill the time up. And the other worker came down and she'd sort of slept in. And I was like, hello, I've not seen anyone for ages. And she's like, okay, I've just woken up. I'm going to go and make us breakfast, and I need no one to talk to me for 15 minutes. Then I'll be fine. And it was, oh, actually, yeah, fair enough. It's like she didn't say it obnoxiously, she wasn't rude, she just sort of laid it out there. And it's like, yeah, okay, fair.
I'm like
Just
that.
need that bit of wake up time.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, definitely. Do you have anything that you find works really well for knowing, like managing your knowledge of your limits and making sure that you stick to them?
Mm.
We're all like, no.
Actually, to be fair, sort of when you learn a new limit or you hit a limit, make a mental note of that. Find out what triggered it. And if it means adjusting your days and things, that's fine. But you have to stick to it. And I know we're really bad at that.
They're amazing. What are you talking about?
Well, it's also the different types of energy. Like, is it physical energy you're out of? Is it mental energy? Is it emotional? It's
All of the above, and you're shutting down.
yeah, that can be a thing. But sometimes it's like, I've not done that much today, but I had to deal with this really difficult thing and I peopled a lot. And that can take as much energy sometimes as it would if you, I don't know, I was going to say run around the block, but I live up a flipping huge hill, so that's effort, let me tell you.
Don't run, okay? We just don't run. No one needs running. That's just too much energy. I suppose even that with a limit, it's like I recently started exercising again. I don't know why I thought this was a good idea, but I have been enjoying it to a degree, and realised I've been pushing myself a bit too much,
Mm.
and it was just like I'm hurting a bit more. I'm more tired afterwards, which is I'm like, okay, this is okay. And then I think it was one of you two I spoke to about it, and I was just like, I've got this pain in my stomach. And I had that initial panic of going back to my hernia surgery and like, oh my God, what if I do something to my stomach and all of that? And it's like, but you're toning your muscles. It's going to hurt. And I was like, oh yeah,
It
that
was,
makes sense.
yeah,
You
it's
know,
like muscles you don't use. That's part of my worry. It's like because I don't exercise, because I just don't have the energy, and my muscles going to atrophy.
yeah,
You know, my worry for a couple of years ago was, am I going to end up bedbound as I got progressively worse? And I know it could still happen, and I try not to make it happen.
yeah. It's hard because we try, you want to try and be more active and keep on moving, but it's just, it physically hurts. And as like Karen said when she went to the cinema, it's like, can I even move forward? Can I even move my legs to walk sometimes? And that level of pain with it, and it's just like, no, I want to hide.
It's also worth knowing about because I didn't. I came across someone on Twitter who explained it. Something called post-exertion malaise, which can be a thing with long COVID and ME and some other conditions, when it's not just that you're worn out when you do too much. Like I felt like I had the flu for days after I'd say had too many meetings in a day. And for things, if you do get that and you just feel absolutely dreadful for days after doing something, then sort of progressive exercise can actually make you worse. You can do yourself injuries. And I didn't know it was a thing. I'd never made the connections. It was always like a few days after I'd done something. But it's worth considering that as well, seeing if that's a thing because it sounds like an excuse. It sounds like, oh, I'm just being lazy and whatever else. But genuinely don't make yourself worse for a few extra steps in the day, sort of thing. It's that balance thing again, isn't it?
The balance, the self-care, you know, all the things that we're doing really well at.
Oh yeah, I didn't
Yeah.
know that was a thing until you told me, and then it all made sense because
Mm.
you can be fine for a couple of days. Oh no, I'm not feeling as bad as I expected, and then it'll hit you. I find out after I travel, it's a couple of days later when I'm spending a day in bed.
Yeah, and I was like, why do I keep catching all these bugs? And
You run down and you feel like crap.
yeah,
Your body's
well,
way of
that's the
trying to
thing.
make you rest.
Once you know it's really obvious, but I absolutely didn't know it was a thing. And I was invited to this thing near me at the local gym to gradually increase exercise. And it's like, that's against nice guidelines.
It
And
didn't used to be. It used to be what they recommended for anything that was fatigue waves.
yeah, but they also said it was purely psychological. So, we've
So that's
moved on, thankfully.
There's progress in the world.
Hurrah!
Oh, we've covered that. Do we have that would cover our tips as well? Do we have would it? Do we have tips?
tips is listen to your body.
Yeah.
Really, really listen to your body.
Yeah, get the Visible app if it be useful to you because it really helps you keep track of what's going on. And sometimes I go, oh, I feel all right. And I'll look at it and it will say, actually, no, you're run down. And it's just not quite hit you yet because I'm used to not stopping until I crash. And that's not helpful.
No.
No.
And I think I'm going to add, if you hit, like as Joe said earlier, if you hit a new limit that you're finding affects you, kind of take a look at what's made that happen and try and kind of not so much, yeah, work around it and like, set different times, try and work in batches if you can, and not just do what we do and power through. Take those breaks, they are important.
Get some friends who will make you take breaks.
Mhm.
Yes.
Even if they're really bad at it themselves.
Oh, so I think that covers everything there. So thank you for joining us 3Spoonies on knowing your limits that we know so well. We'd love to know your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to schedule for our weekly podcasts and leave us a review. You can find us on your favourite social media platform, and we'd love for you to join us in the Business Success Network for Disabled Entrepreneurs Facebook group. If you feel like it and you love what we've done, buy us a coffee. And all the links from today will be in the show notes. We will see you next week for our community questions. Have a great day and keep track of your spoons.